Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and this is going to be a fun podcast for me. They're all fun, but this one's fun because I have Matt and Rich Van Tine with me. Hey, you two.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to be here.
And I feel like I've known you forever because it was 2018, which oddly enough was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies.
That you first walked into the Sherman Oaks Film Festival with A Side of Fries, a film I just really enjoyed. I still have a soft spot for it because I just think it's really good work. And then 4 years later, you showed up at Sherman Oaks Film Festival again with Magic Box. But the reason I feel like I know you two is because I normally don't admit this, but I do suffer through Instagram. Like I do the Instagram for Sherman Oaks Film Festival.
Yeah.
And Sherman Oaks Film Festival follows you both. So I kind of see what you're up to. Like,
Yeah,
you're stalking us.
you know what I mean? I've been unintentionally stalking you by making sure I'm not missing Instagram
Yeah.
shit.
but I also see you every year at the Sherman Oaks Fair thing. That's on
That's right,
That's on
'cause-
Ventura Boulevard. I'm like, there's always a Sherman Oaks Film Festival stand. And I'm
That's
like,
right,
all
because we are
let's-
neighbors.
Exactly.
I feel like when we had A Side of Fries, we went to the street fair and we saw the booth and we hadn't met you yet, but somehow you knew who we were and you were like, Van Tines. And I was like, you. Maybe that was through stalking from
That is a
Instagram.
believable comment. Maybe it was Instagram already, or maybe... Well, first of all, in 2018, I'm not afraid to say it. I think in 2018, we were probably around then, we were getting like 150, 200 films submitted. So I kind of, like, if you have a picture of yourselves in that, like, director section or
that's
something,
true.
like, I do see it on Film Freeway. And I kind of, when it was... I think we probably only had like 30 official selections that year because it was a 2-day festival back then.
Yeah.
Now it's a 5-day festival.
That's great.
And I'm lucky if I
growing.
remember, the people I met the night before.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you're meeting people left and right.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But that's nice because now it's just showing how much you guys are growing. Because, I mean, all of our stuff was at the, was it the Whitefire?
You were at the Whitefire.
Theater,
You were at the
and
last festival at
I know.
the cute, really nice neighborhood vibe Whitefire Theater.
Yeah.
So many people said nice things about it, but technically it just wasn't cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not meant for
screening.
for screenings really, but it's I think what's great about it is how small it is though, because you have that kind of like intimate viewing experience with everybody.
It's intimate and you're close to the people around you, and that stage was kind of nice for Q&As, I
Yeah.
think, because we've now moved to the Look Cinemas in Glendale, which is state-of-the-art, awesome. But, like movie theaters aren't lit.
That's true.
So when you sit in front, like we had to put light boxes down at our feet and like shine up in your eyes. And, look, it's still a better venue, but, we grow. But thank you. Thank you for acknowledging the growth of the festivals. And I guess this is going to be tough for people listening. Do you want to introduce yourselves by name?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only way you'd be able to tell the difference between us is my voice is a little deeper.
And I sound like a whiny bitch. I don't know.
So
My voice is up high.
So the whiny bitch is Rich.
Yeah.
And the non-whiny bitch is Matt.
Matt. There you go.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's probably because I have a brother and I always want to differentiate from him. So I will mention that you are twins.
Yes.
And
Yes.
right now and never again. Because you're individuals, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and thank you for acknowledging that.
And Matt directs and Rich writes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we both produce out of necessity.
Yeah. It's not our favorite thing to do, but like he just said, we do it out of necessity because, I don't know, it's good to have a little bit of control. And
Yeah, it's good to kind of stay within the whole process from start to finish, And then we also do bring on other producers who are just, that's what they do, is they just produce. So
Yeah, and at the indie level, if you don't have a friend you can trust, then often when you bring in another producer who you're like, well, we had a good coffee, that person can really fuck you up.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. It's a whole trust thing. Like, not to say you can't trust anybody, but I mean, it's Hollywood. I guess you can't. I don't know.
Well, and you're my understanding is you're self-financing, right? So it's also trusting someone else with your wallet.
Yeah.
And that is something else.
Right. That's the other thing. We've like crowdfunded a lot of these projects, and it's my bank account that's doing it, and I'm the one that's controlling the money, even though numbers are not my jam. But I'd rather have the money in a secure spot than, just kind of out there.
Yeah, out there to be used for maybe things that are not approved. But
no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've found some really good producing partners. So I wouldn't say we've had any bad experience with producers. Knock on wood. Because we are starting up.
You're not going to let go of it entirely yet.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Unless someone else throws the money up and says, "Oh, I'm going to," then you'll be like, "Sure,
hey,
sure."
If anyone out there wants to throw up some money, you can gladly be the producer.
You can be the producer. You can and then you can look the director in the eyes and go, "You want this job?"
Right.
Or look at him and be like, "You don't have final cut. I gave you the money."
Yeah, right.
God, that could be true, huh?
Yeah.
Even at the indie level, that'll happen.
Yeah.
But, crazy. Well, before we get too much into that stuff,
sure. Yeah.
You want to talk about the origin story of creativity and how you become two people who put probably a good amount of your time into filmmaking, right? Screenwriting, directing, and I assume most teams, even when you divide like into writer and director, most teams you're consulting at the idea level and story creation.
Yeah, I mean, our collaboration, like even though Rich is a writer and then I'm the director, we're kind of both putting those hats on as well. When we're on set and I'm at monitor, so is Rich. And it's not to be at monitor to be that like, oh great, I have the writer next to me who's going to say, you're changing these things. This doesn't work. Why are you doing this? And go, it's it's more of along the lines of like saying like, hey, I don't think this works, or maybe we should change this because it will help with the character more, or it will, it's going to push the story, or like I might say something along the lines of like, hey, this works on paper, but it's just not working visually. So let's try to figure it out. And also just being brothers, we don't have to play that game of like, how do I dance
Mm.
around saying this nicely? You can just go, no, this doesn't work.
Yeah, we don't put the kid gloves on. It's just,
it doesn't help anybody.
Say it how it is.
You don't need to. You know how to fight.
Yeah.
And you know how to fight productively, or you know how to disagree productively.
Sure, yeah.
And
exactly.
I mean, we also use each other in that aspect of when we do have to put on those like political gloves with maybe another producer or another person within the team. We can like get our frustrations out on each other and be like, all right, let's regroup.
A lot of sidebar text messaging and stuff. Yeah.
So we're I'd say we're a pretty good team.
Well, I imagine if one of you is having a rough time with somebody and the other sees it, you're like, oh, I know what he wants to say.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna hear that later.
Yeah, pretty much.
For sure. But did you start creating when you were really young, like for play, or?
I mean,
not really. Like
no,
really young.
We were always just into movies. Everybody else was into, whether people were into sports or other things of that nature. I mean, yeah, we did play sports and whatnot, but we were never avid like watchers of football, baseball, basketball, just kind of. But the one thing that we did always do is watch movies. We used to have Friday nights where we would, back in New York, that's where we're from, we'd order Chinese food and have a family movie night.
Yeah.
Back in the days when you go to the Blockbuster, and then when it's not a Blockbuster, you go to the next video store to see if it's there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I think that's something that helped us. It was a good family bonding experience, but then it just kind of made its way into once it's like, what do you want to do with your life? You're like looking at the screen, you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like you said, just Friday night movie nights, and which turned into like Friday night going to the movies when we got older. You know, basically going every weekend. What's the new movie out? Let's go see it.
we even did that and once we started making money, we did that for every Tuesdays. DVDs came out. You know what?
Tune in
DVDs
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tune In Tuesday, and it didn't matter what it was like. What are you getting on Tuesday? It's not. Is there anything out to buy?
Yeah.
It was like our DVD collection was out of control.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we just went to community college for. It wasn't necessarily called filmmaking. It was like communication and media arts, and you just kind of put your hand into every little aspect of making media. And we just kind of started, finding our niche.
But you chose that major. But was the decision made when you were a little younger than that like you really did want to get into filming, like besides appreciating film, or really you just fully appreciated as audience members?
I specifically remember like in high school. I don't know. This sounds kind of odd, but I was like, oh, I want to make graphics for the ending credits of movies. If that was a job, like just doing that. And now I look at it and I was like, why would I want to do that? I don't know, but that kind of like appealed to me, like when they have all those like cool ending credit sequences and things like that. I don't know why that just popped in my head. But that was like a
cool.
thing in high
This
school.
podcast is all about bringing up those childhood memories.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a similar, I guess, passion for it because I did a semester at SUNY Cortland in New York going for animation because I actually really loved the visual effects and CGI that you see in all these movies, and in particular, especially around that time, like the sequels to The Matrix were coming out, and they just had all these crazy visual effects, which look pretty fake now. But like when you're watching it, I was like, oh, I'd love to figure out how to do that. But
I kind of feel like we shouldn't talk about The Matrix, but I kind of feel like the first one looked better than the next two.
It did,
Yeah.
and I feel like two,
It's stretched, right?
right? It was like more of an indie budget, right? Like you can't just be like, well, we can just make whatever we want. We have millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I feel like
throw it
that
on green screen.
That indie like pressure really just makes the movie better. Because you're really just trying to dig in and figure out how to do things as opposed to like, well, the studio is going to just give us how many millions of dollars, so whatever.
Yeah, let's build our own freeway.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, right?
Pretty
It's like, let's build our own freeway as opposed to like, okay, we don't have money to do that.
Yeah, but
Right.
what would look great is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I don't know why that just reminds me of like Sicario. Like it's super indie, and they built their own freeway or road into and out of Mexico, and you wouldn't know that it wasn't the border. And they did that with like indie budget wise, where there's just like, we're just gonna do it instead of just being like, we're gonna build a giant freeway and put a giant green screen in front of it and pretend. But yeah, so
But
that's,
you got interested in VFX from.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, The Matrix is one of those films like Star Wars that like launched 1,000 filmmakers, right? So
yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
The program was new at Cortland, so my first semester I wasn't even really doing anything, and then I just wasn't enjoying myself, and so I left there. But I think too was also I found that it was like, oh, I love visual effects, but that's a small spoke in the wheel of what I love. And that's how I got into directing, where it was like, oh, it's not necessarily your hand is in every pot, but you're like overseeing each thing, and you're learning about everything, and kind of being at the helm of the film. So
that's when you got interested in directing,
yeah,
right? And when did you get interested in writing?
It was probably in community college. My dad is gonna be talking about this for months, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's like I wasn't always like very good at school, like grades and stuff. But the one thing that I was good at, and the one thing that my dad always told me I was good at, was like, "Damn, you can really write well." And so he's going to take credit for why I'm a writer. But like I would say like half of it is that like the support of that, and like to kind of know like I enjoyed the writing part, even like writing papers, as much as like the subject matter I didn't really care about. The writing part of like crafting a beginning, middle, and end always just kind of appealed to me. And then in community college, I took a screenwriting class with Dana Doherty, who I think runs the program now.
I think she does,
over there at Dutchess Community College in Poughkeepsie, New York.
That's your plug.
That's my plug.
Everyone loves hearing about Poughkeepsie. It's the best name in the world.
It's literally when I say Poughkeepsie, if they're like, "Oh, I feel like I've heard about it." Yes, it was in a Friends episode, and they mention it probably in like Sex and the City and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she, I don't know, she had like such like an enthusiastic approach to writing and storytelling, and I think that really just that was it. That was kind of my spark. And she went to AFI here in Los Angeles, I don't know, years ago. And then I ended up going to AFI. So I kind of almost like followed the same path. And she wrote me a recommendation and all that kind of stuff. So I guess like I would say it's partially her and partially my dad that got me into writing.
Right. So Rich, you got into writing completely independent of Matt's interest in directing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you both. I mean, because the natural assumption is like it arose together, but actually completely independent. Mm-hmm. You focused on writing, and you focused on directing, which is
I feel like he always had like an eye for like the technical stuff, and just like really figuring out how things worked, and that was all just gibberish to me. Like, I don't know. Like,
I like to figure out how things work. It doesn't matter if it's with filmmaking or like DIY, like housework, or DIY, like how to build something, do this or that. And so like whenever I would see something in a film, I'm like, how did they do that? And I'd just go searching. I'd go figure it out. Or when we had no money and we started shooting like a short and a feature, like really indie budget feature that I hope never sees the light of day anymore. But you never know.
For those who can't see, and no one can see. Actually, there is some a head. Rich just shook his head at the idea of anyone ever seeing that film.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's a zombie movie, so it's like I feel like that is the
it's like a rite of
passage.
I already put it on Tubi already. Zombie movie.
And I star in it, so I really just don't.
But that's besides the point of what we're talking about. But we would figure out things, like I'd figure out ways to make dollies and handheld, like I'll call them gimbals, but obviously not a gimbal, out of like PVC pipe and like metal pipes and things. I used to work at a Lowe's Home Improvement when we were going to school, and so I'd go lurking around at all the little gadgets to figure out ways to make a really indie budget film look a little less indie. If anybody does see the feature that we shot called Z-Day, it will definitely look indie. I think it's probably shot in SD at this point.
It was 2011, right? Or before that?
It was before that.
I don't know.
But
anyway. And was it... Well, actually, I don't know the exact timing, but I mean, were you still in school when you made it?
Yes.
So you got the safety umbrella
net.
of the word
of
student
learning.
Film.
Right.
Exactly.
It was. I don't know how. I mean, we had, not to like boast either you or me, but like the drive that we had back then. Not to say that I don't have a drive or passion, but it was like we were working full time. We were going to school full time. And making this feature at the same time, and I was like, how did I have time
How
in the
did my
day?
brain not just
I
explode?
think it's called youth.
I think so too. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't imagine what I could get done in a day in the teens or early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Yeah. But yeah, we were doing that when we went to, after we graduated from Dutchess Community College, we both went to Hunter College in Manhattan for our bachelor's, which was just studying film. It's just called film. It wasn't like film production or film studies because it was kind of half and half. And so, yeah, we got our bachelor's there, and that's after that is when we came out to
Right.
LA.
So you chose so for your bachelor's at Hunter's, you did do a film major.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was it was nicely divided, it sounds like, between production and film theory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I think it was probably more film theory. I got way more film theory out of it than I did production. But what was nice is we did get to, we were still in a time where film was a thing. So we got to shoot on 16 millimeter
Yeah.
film.
Oh, and cut on a flatbed and stuff?
That we did not.
That was,
We
I
were
think that was
towards-
a year prior
Yeah.
or 2 years prior. They were cutting, like literally cutting it.
Yeah,
This
this time
we got
would
to shoot it on. We got to shoot on film. We got to learn how to like use is it a black bag? Is that what they call it? I don't know. The
Yeah, the camera
dark
bag,
bag
yeah.
or whatever to feed it through without looking
Yeah,
at it and all
it's-
this kind of stuff. And I mean it's an experience that a lot of filmmakers are not getting in school now. Or I don't think any of them are.
No, it's-
because everything's digital.
Yeah, it's just too expensive. Like, actually, when I came out here for grad school in 2012, we still did. I think we were the last year that was doing one of our projects shot on film, and it was expensive because film was scarce.
And lab fees.
Yep,
You have to develop
go do
24
your
frames a second?
Yeah, like go do your
Yeah.
telecine, sit with a colorist, and do that, and you're like, are you guys paying for that? They're like, oh no.
That's what I don't get. Like even at Hunter, we went there, and you take out loans to go there, and they're like, oh, but you have to shoot this on film, and this is how much it costs per reel. Good luck. And you're like, well,
Yeah, like
what
the
the hell?
thousands and thousands of dollars I gave you is not gonna give me
cover that.
a package of sorts.
and I'm not
of,
shitting on Hunter
No,
because
most film schools
it's
are
just
that way.
like
Yeah,
it just
Tuition
doesn't
would be
make
so high.
any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's crazy. Some schools, and I won't mention them, but they, you don't even get ownership of the film that you shoot there, which is wild to me. Luckily, so I went to Loyola Marymount University in film production for grad school, and anything that I made, I owned. Like, they didn't own anything. So I can take that and use that in the outside world to be like, this is what I can do. And like, I am very thankful for that because I was, I applied for other schools that I would come out of there with probably nothing to show for it because I wouldn't be able to use it.
And you both get your bachelor's from Hunter.
Yep.
And then Rich goes to AFI and you go to Loyola Marymount.
Yes.
Or around the same time or different
Yeah,
time?
same time.
Exactly.
Exactly the same time.
And we both applied for grad schools the year prior and didn't get
Didn't
in.
get in. I
Didn't
was
get
on
it.
the. I was
and
on the.
like, were you discussing like, hey, let's apply to schools in LA, or just you both went your own paths?
I think we all wanted.
We-
We really wanted to go out to LA. I know a couple of schools
we did
New
apply
York.
to like the same schools. I applied to LMU. I didn't even get denied. I just didn't hear anything. They just didn't. I remember the next year they emailed me. They're like, "Oh, we noticed you didn't finish your application." I'm like, "You're kidding, right?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "You took my money, but
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's at the very end. So that means I finished it. No gripes, anyway."
He went
but
to
yeah,
AFI.
like-
he
Yeah,
did
AFI.
fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, but like we both applied to like Chapman.
It was all the classics is what I'll call
classics,
them.
yeah,
You know,
USC.
the SoCal.
USC, UCLA, Chapman,
Yeah.
and then we did do Columbia and NYU as well.
I was on the wait list for Columbia the year before. And that's my story. The end.
Yeah, and I got denied from AFI. So it was an interesting tour because we did go to AFI, and then when we got in there, they're like, "Oh, did you get in as well?" I was like, "No, I did not.
I think
I'm
it
just
kind
being a
of like,
supportive brother.
yeah, I think it really like worked out for the best that we didn't go to the same school. I
think so, too.
Because then it's, he gets his experience there. I get my experience at AFI.
Yeah, you're in
and
Los
it's just-
Feliz. You're over by the beach. It's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. We weren't, that's the other thing. Is like we weren't even like physically close together.
Yeah, we got to we made our own friends who now have become friends like friends that I made at LMU have become friends with Rich and vice versa. And I think to myself, like, if I didn't go to LMU, I wouldn't have met some really cool people that I still work with today. I mean, our editor, Ed Morales, went there, and to this day, we still use him, and he's a great friend. So
I mean, you literally doubled your crew contact list by going to different film schools. If you gone to the same one, you would have had all the same friends.
Yeah.
And instead, you know all the cool people from 2 great programs.
yeah, only the
By
cool
the way,
people.
I say great on purpose because I would always go with someone I know at the Directors Guild. I don't know if they do it anymore. This is a long time ago, but there was always a screening. Well, I had a friend go to LMU. That's why I first went.
Yeah,
they show UCLA, like 2 from UCLA, 2 from USC, 2 from LMU, and 2 from AFI, I think. Maybe CSUN too. And it was a great night at the DGA.
I think I went to that once.
And not to be a complete asshole, but I like being an asshole.
That's more fun.
Keeps things interesting.
LMU. So the USC stuff looked great and had no soul and no story, and the UCLA stuff was all right. AFI was also just beautiful, but LMU was like the well-rounded films. Like they were actual indie films and not, hey, look, this is like, what can I say? Like the USC films, it was like they were saying, I just want to prove that I can show you that if you give me $75,000, I can make 3 minutes of a network drama. Like they were just aiming for Grey's Anatomy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it interesting because it's like, you tell somebody you went to a certain school and like, it's still the person, you still have to have that passion, the drive, the, ideas, creativity. And I know, like, I can speak for anybody that I've gone to LMU with. I mean, they churn out some really talented people. And I think what was really nice is that the grad program and the undergrad program like kind of meshed together. We didn't go to the same classes, but like anybody who was on people's thesis films is like I crewed on a bunch of undergrad stuff, just like undergrads crewed on a bunch of my grad stuff. They churn out really great cinematographers and just really great like directors and things of that nature. So, and I love the faculty. I do miss my LMU days because it was not because I didn't have to technically work, but yeah, there was just like a camaraderie there that was really special. I mean, also don't get me wrong, film school can be almost worse than the outside world as far as like almost
you're
like
in
that
a bubble.
that
You're in like
bubble
film
and
school bubble.
high school type drama and stuff, but just in like film. But you still you meet some really great people from all around the world, which is nice.
No, and it's look, one of the reasons why this podcast is kind of fun to do is because you get to sit and talk about film for a while. That's why festivals are fun. And film school, you got to like I mean, you love film. Both of you love movies and movie making. So like, wasn't film school like the greatest time to be surrounded by people who are equally interested?
I think it's like one of those things that you look back on and you're like, oh, that was fucking amazing.
But you didn't think so in the time,
wish I wish I could go back and like tell myself like enjoy the ride, because as soon as you're done comes the real world and you're not really protected in that bubble. And like I had 2 full years of not working and just writing. I think I took advantage of it, but I think I could have taken more advantage of it.
And at AFI, the screenwriting program, are you just solely writing, or are you working with like the people? Like, are you giving you scripts to people for them to possibly make? Or?
I don't know how it works now. I kind of wish Ryan was here because he could explain that more, because I know it has changed a bit. But like the first year, you write one feature the whole year. Like you're in a workshop, and that's what you're working on, churning out this one feature by the end of the year. But at the same time, there's also these 3 films called cycle films where. When I was there, writers always were required to write the first one, and then they weren't required to write the second and third, but they had to at least be involved with either co-writing or as a story editor. And then you had to put in a certain amount of crew hours, which I think for writers is
torture.
It's like, I understand they want us to be on set to kind of like see how it works and everything, but it's like it's just a waste of time for a writer because like unless you're put on as crafty, and that's all you have to do is get the food and then you can just sit on your laptop and write. Like it's really just wasting your time because you're there to write. You're not there to be like the boom mic operator, you know. So that's my personal opinion on it. I think maybe they should have required it maybe for just one of the cycle films, but not all 3 of them. But yeah, that's what the first year was, and then the second year was you wrote, I think 2 features. God, I can't even remember.
But very feature oriented because it's. I guess I asked that because at the festivals now, like we've had so many thesis films come through. And then during the Q&A at the theater, it's always like, well, so-and-so got his master's in cinematography off this film.
Yeah.
I got my master's in producing. Director, like it's like people are sharing a thesis film. And I don't know if the writers are kind of left out of that kind of group vibe.
Yeah. When I was there, thesis films were like, if they wanted a writer to write it, by all means. It didn't really necessarily count for us because technically one of our features second year would be our thesis. But yeah, if you wanted to like actually write one, you could. I just think there's not much time to do that while you're doing all these other things because we also had television classes where we had to get like a pilot together. I think the next year, a couple of years after, they really started to focus on television, which I guess has helped a lot of the writers that have got out of AFI, and I'm kind of jealous because I really wish that
they made you write feature after feature.
Because it was still very feature oriented.
But he did have time to write my thesis.
Oh, I did write his thesis. Yeah, that's
right. That's a good story.
I mean, for LMU, you're basically put in the director's chair. They didn't have like the cinematography track or the writer. They had a separate writing program, so that. But like if you're in like film productions, like they put you in the director's chair even if you want to be a cinematographer, which I think is. I don't think that's the best idea. If somebody's like, "Hey, I love doing cinematography," and they're like, "Well, you got to direct your thesis film." I think I found a lot of cinematographers did the cinematography in their thesis film and got like I'll put in quotes, assistant director or somebody to basically direct it. But we were also required to write it. But we could go and find either writers from the writers program, or if you happen to have a brother who's a writer at AFI, you just
go
to
this
guy. You
had a ringer in
that
your back
way.
pocket. How much you pay him for that script?
I'm
just kidding.
still waiting for it.
It's in installments.
Sure.
But
very cool. Was it? And technically, is that the first collaboration?
Well, no, I guess the zombie movie.
Movie, right? That was it. Hunter.
Yeah.
Well, the zombie movie doesn't exist. So anyway,
that's true. Okay. I think it. For lack of a better term, I think it was the first, like, good collaboration. You know what I mean? It was the first because it was
like serious. Like it was serious.
Yeah,
professional. I guess.
Literally, I had graduated because AFI is 2 years, LMU is 3. So I had graduated already. I had all this knowledge from AFI, and then on a side note, I think the best thing that come out of film school, like kind of what Matt was saying, is the community and like the group that you put together.
Yeah,
and I think I had a workshop that kept going after AFI, and that really just like kind of molded my storytelling to like the 10th degree. I can't speak. 10th degree. And then he asked me to write, or I don't know if it was like first like let's co-write or will you write it for me or
something like just like let's come up with a story or I can't remember how
you just knew you had to make a 10 to 15 minute film.
Yeah, I had to make a short film to graduate. So, and I some of my other projects I wrote, and like writing's not my forte. Like I understand character, I understand story, especially now. Like I mean, the further and the more we do, the more I get an understanding, and then the more I just listen to Rich talk or we riff back and forth. Like the more I learn about story, character, tone, and all the stuff, all the things. Mm-hmm. I'm just going off on a tangent, but I think
and it wasn't an easy task either. I wrote like multiple drafts and it just didn't work. And I was like, what have I gotten myself into? I'm going to screw up his thesis film.
Well, you hadn't really trained on that length either, right? Like,
no, I mean like
screenwriting is screenwriting, but like to your, I'm trying to like say that like it makes sense that it didn't work at first because you never sat down and said, okay, how do I tell a great story in about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, because the real challenge, feature writing is the hardest thing. And you spent 2 years focused on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's just something to be said about shorts being like a completely different animal because you kind of have to have like, not necessarily a feature in a short period of time, but like a lot of information that you can easily convey to an audience with more time or just like subtleties that people are seeing as other things are happening you can't do in a short. Like you got to convey a lot of information,
but I also think it's a disservice to not treat it like a feature,
giving it its beginning,
beginning, middle, end, and
every feature has its its opening, its inciting incident, its break into two, and midpoint and blah blah blah. I mean, even they just happen quicker. Yeah. And then sometimes you with a short, it doesn't always have to have a third act necessarily. It's like you're kind of like teasing towards it. I think sometimes that works too.
It's like Magic Box.
Yeah, like Magic Box is not your typical short. It literally is like a cutout scene from a bigger thing.
But it's like not literally cut out, and I think sometimes that's what I see people do. Like, well, I just pulled it. It's a scene I pulled right out of it, and I'm like, there's a lot of context in there that nobody's going to know unless they read the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So like with Magic Box, Rich pulled the scene out of his feature, but then rewrote it to work as a short. Like it's not like pop easy. There you go. Give me credit. Yeah. So and we're actually doing the opposite. Right now, we had our short Jackal, which was about 20-minute short that we're now developing into a feature, and it's a whole other ballgame going from a short to a feature instead of a feature to like
just
a
how much you're changing.
Yeah.
Wait,
but back to the LMU film. So you worked on it
together.
Worked on it together. Well, I assume it's not Side of Fries, is it?
No, it is not.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Don't remember the title?
No, I was just trying to.
He's like, I've tried to forget that.
I was trying to think if like Sherman Oaks Film Festival was even around, and it was 2015.
Probably not. Our first year was 2016.
Yeah, it was 2015. But the film was called Let Me Go, and actually we got it into the Cannes Film Festival through certain avenues that
just say we got into.
We got in because we were good enough.
Well, no, there's that shorts corner, right? I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
it might even be called Shorts Corner. Actually,
I think it might.
Yeah,
but so it got in there, and I convinced LMU to fly me out there on their dime.
Yeah.
So I went out there.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting at a desk at my job while he's posting photos from frickin' France.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I hate you so much.
It was an experience. You learn a lot, and it's pretty awesome to sit in a theater and go like, I'm in Cannes, France, and my movie's right there. So, but it's also like the bad part about it is like you launch out of
like
grad
such a
school
big high.
with this
Yeah.
thesis film that goes to Cannes, and you're like, I have this clout. Let's see what's going to happen next. And crickets, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you just. I think there was probably like a year or two without making anything.
Yeah. You kind of have to have another one in the chamber. You know?
Yeah. You always got to have another one in the chamber. So it's like why we have another one right now in the chamber, because it's like
and there's
you can't bank on
I
anything.
got to go to Cannes once,
Nice.
and you can't replicate that anywhere.
No, it's an experience, and I wish I wasn't a poor college student, because I would have done a lot more. But it was really cool, for sure. Yeah, and I think A Side of Fries was right after that.
Oh, it was right after that.
Well, not right after, but
Yeah, it was some
But that was the
years
next-
after that, because I think it's Side of
But
Fries was
so
yeah.
I guess I'll fish for. I'll pretend I'm an interviewer and like fish for. So did that thesis, and I already forgot the title. I'm sorry.
it's called Let Me Go.
Let Me Go. Was there a realization that your collaboration was a good thing? Like, you know what? If I'm going to have someone write a script for me, I think my brother Rich is the way to go. Or
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
I don't think we've thought I don't think there was like a light bulb.
There's no like
moment
conscious
yeah.
decision.
It was kind of just like, this is what we're doing. Like, but
right. You got your FI degree. I got my LMU degree.
Yeah,
Now it's
I
just
never
move
asked
forward.
him to like, hey, can you be my writing partner or whatnot? And we started just making all these short films, and we were like, well, let's put it under the VTD moniker, and because like we call our films like we call them Van Tine Design, kind of like how it's like a Spike Lee joint. And so then we just developed VTD Productions, and we just all the films that we make are just under that. Mm-hmm. So, but it's just like all that stuff there was never like a discussion about it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, boom, oh, I'm going to make this. Oh, we're going to do this. I'm like, hey, what about that? So,
I mean, A Side of Fries wasn't actually supposed to get made.
no.
It was a writing exercise for me. I was just kind of going through some shit, and literally the only way I knew how to like vomit it out was in screenplay format. So I just did that, and he convinced me that we should film it. And
Right. So you read it and you're like,
yeah.
I'm like, how can we? I mean, I was like, hey, I know this is very personal. And for anybody who's seen it, they're like, oh, this is, this character's going through some stuff,
both characters.
So, yeah, both characters. And so Rich was clearly going through some stuff. And so you do the thing like, you want to get it, like, it's really great. Like, we should make this, but only if you're okay with it. And I don't think it took much convincing, because I
was
think
like, as long as you don't have to hold a boom mic, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, I think.
Besides being a good story, you probably looked at it and said, hey, you wrote a one location short.
Yeah,
I also think if it wasn't like worth shooting, he wouldn't have suggested it.
I think it would have just done such a disservice to like throw it in a drawer, and just be like, well, you got your thoughts out in this fantastic short script. Let's use it as a paperweight,
Yeah.
So, and we were in midst of making Jackal. We were in pre-production for our short Jackal, and Jackal was going to shoot in March, and it was around, I think, November.
Yeah.
And we're like, I think we can hit two shorts in less than a year. Let's do it. And scrounged up like a crew.
10 pages,
One
location. So we did it one night.
Yeah.
That was it.
So, and I'm very proud of that film. So
this is also like at a time where you could convince people to do shit for free.
yeah, a lot of people were
Because your
just
friends were you're the right age. Your friends are
Exactly,
the right
and
age.
it's like
a lot of them are
everyone's
just
kinda
getting out of
out, and
either
they're
grad
like-
school or undergrad, and they're just like looking to do stuff, and they're PAs or they're
You just do it for like a hot
grips.
meal.
Yeah, and they're just trying to have
And you're asking
some
for
fun.
one day of their
You're
time.
asking-
Right,
Not
yeah.
an 18-hour
Yeah.
day, right? Like,
It was
It was longer than it should have been. We'll leave out why.
We won't mention why, but there are reasons why it.
It was somebody's fault who's not at this table.
Correct.
Okay.
There you go.
It was It was one of those things where we're like, all right, well, we'll shoot it overnight. It'll be like a 6-hour shoot, something like that, and it just went till the sun came up.
Yeah.
But
so it was an actor. No, so anyway.
I don't know
And
what
the
you
silence. I don't know what you're talking
I'm kidding. So,
No.
and it did come out really well.
Yeah. And
mean. Yeah, he did a good freaking job directing that thing. So.
and it's also really
And it's
great editing.
It's a difficult task to direct a short that's one location with two people that are just sitting next to each other, because you can't just cut back and forth because that's boring.
Yeah. It was tough. But we did it. We got through it. And
And then in March we went up to, where was it? It was up past Mammoth, Bridgeport, California, and shot Jackal over 4 days, which was awesome. That was an awesome experience.
Still the best experience I've ever had on it. It was like we all bunked in like a cabin because it was shot in. It was basically one location too. It was like shot in a cabin, thriller, and we all had this camaraderie. And when we were all leaving, everybody was sad, and it felt like we were there for 2 weeks of like summer camp.
That's one thing I'm pretty proud of. Is our sets tend to be like very fun, and it's like you've created a family, and then when it's over, it's nice that people are sad, you know.
I always, at least for me, I always go through what I like to call like the post filming depression. So I mean, at least it happens for at least a week or two of like it's like hitting rock bottom. It's really weird. It's like coming off of a high, right? And you're like, why am I so depressed? But like when you're going through the film, you're like, we gotta go. We gotta get through this. Like, oh man, it's gonna be nice when we don't have to. And then it happens, and like we took a couple of just walks at night because we were just like, depressed. But it also means like it makes me go like, this is something that I should be doing. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it is really fun, and principal photography is a lot more fun than post. It just is. I mean, post is really rewarding, but yeah, and I'm gonna assume this is also a testament to you both as producers too, that the sets are positive and people will have a good time.
Well, yeah, we don't like to, I'll put it in quotes, hire, because some people didn't get paid. Sorry. Hire people that aren't just a good time to hang out with. Like we've used the same actor, Tim Simic, for the last 3 or so. Well, he's going to be in this upcoming one, Lone Wolf, as well. So it's like 4 projects. Because it's just like, he's a good guy, you know.
Positive
attitude.
Willing to do whatever it takes, and without like, anybody having to be like an asshole, pretty much.
Right.
Like I don't think we've come across many of those. So.
Yeah, and who wants to be on a set that's like just a drag, you know?
Right.
Filmmaking's supposed to be fun. It's hard, but it's supposed to be fun. And if you're not going to have fun, then don't bother.
And we're sort of in the golden era. The death of the asshole might have finally... Right? Being an asshole used to sort of get you a little bit of respect.
Yeah, now it doesn't.
Yeah, now it gets you fired.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
It's also, too, it's like, if you got to sit in a room for 12 hours with somebody, do you want to sit in a room with 12 hours with, like, top-notch actor who is a complete asshole, or, like, I don't want to use the word mediocre, but, like, not as top-notch of an actor, but somebody who's trying their best. Not an A-lister, I guess. Who's trying.
Someone whose name sells.
Yeah, who's trying their hardest, who loves the material, and who's just a great pleasure to be on set. Mm-hmm. And maybe some of us have to work a little harder to get to where I'll gladly work harder than to have to cater towards an asshole, for sure.
No, asshole-free zone is important now.
We should make that sign for the next.
Asshole free zone.
It sounds like you do that just in your selection of
Yeah,
of who
pretty
you work
much,
with.
yeah.
The opening meeting or something. Like, you are now entering an asshole free zone.
And since Matt's directing like on set, Rich, do you end up like carrying more of the producer's water
I end up
pails?
being like the cook, like because we end up doing like, we'll cater it, but not
Hey,
like.
you mentioned Crafty with the AFI.
I'm telling
days.
you, it's just
So
it's
there's-
haunting me.
He's
you're
learned
the
so much
writer,
from
chef.
AFI. Crafty.
We actually had a producers meeting for this new short, and it's like the joke is like, oh well, we don't have somebody for this, so Rich will do it. So it's like literally, I'm just like, okay, put this hat on, go there. It's like whatever needs to be done. I get it. Like I would love to be at the monitor at all times, and there's certain scenes that I'm going to be like, I need to be at the monitor for this, but we always have. One day is make your own tacos, so I'm in there making like taco meat and all this kind of stuff, setting up a bar and whatnot.
It's cost effective and
Yeah.
everybody loves it.
Exactly. So
Yeah, it probably does totally boost the mood to see you working so hard.
yeah, exactly. I'm not just sitting there like
People aren't going to slack
twiddling my
off
thumbs,
when
Yeah.
the writer slash co-producer is busting ass.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, "Hey, you're setting an example."
Yeah.
And it's like we understand where we are right now, like in our filmmaking career and whatnot. We don't have that luxury. So like our newest short, I've been discussing with our DP Ryan, who we met at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival.
That's correct.
We can get into that in a second, but we're talking about. He's like, I can do it with minimal crew, and I was like, if we have a day of setup or like you need. I'll grab a light. Like, I know, yes, I am the director, but I'll grab a light and I'll put the light up. Like,
Yeah.
A, I used to do that at LMU all the time, so, and B, it's like, I don't have time to sit there with my arms folded and be like, all right, when are we going to get these lights up if they're right there and I can put them up?
Yeah. I've got hands. Give me gloves. There you go.
Yeah. So, anything to get it done. Get a good product. Have fun.
Absolutely. And
Get
so
a good
that was
workout in.
Jackal. That was
Jackal.
that's. I mean, you went past Jackal there, but
Yeah. And after that was Magic Box, which was interesting to do during COVID.
yeah. And Magic Box was Rich wrote the feature, and then
Technically, I
just-
wrote the short first.
technically,
And then I wrote the feature. Or maybe it was kind of simultaneous.
and then you went back and
think it was
did
simultaneous,
another
yeah.
version of it as a short.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because it was called Escape.
It was called Escape.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
But purely proof of concept in a way, right?
Yeah.
We'll say in a way now because it's
Yeah,
not
because-
really anymore.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is we were like, okay, I have this feature. We're going to shoot the short, kind of attach it to the feature when it goes out. But then COVID hit, and we had to like slow down production on the short. The feature started to go around, and then it got optioned to a company in Canada, and so that kind of cut ties with the short. Yeah. Unfortunately, but like at the same time, it's now still a great short that we can use as just like a proof of execution.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like we just built a box in our garage. Just had to figure out a way to build it so that it, all there's moving parts so that you can get a camera in and out and move around and
And get light in there and
get light in there. And there was just, I never want to build a box again because it was me and Ed, the editor. We built the box. We had our buddy Jake Sheets, who produced Jackal and A Side of Fries with us. He's also just like a handyman, and he did a lot of production design. And we met him at LMU. He designed the box on paper, and then we built it. But it was. We looked at it afterwards as like a challenge. It's not a proof of concept. Like I've never shot something in a box. Like how do you
confined space?
How do you build a shot list and like keep things moving and not stay on the same shots so much at different beats in the story? And it was a brain buster, but we did it. So it was it took a lot longer because of COVID as well. So less people could be on the set. It was the first set that Rich was not on because he was sick, but he was not sick with COVID. But it was early on enough that
nobody wanted me there.
Nobody would want him there.
No!
So
a regular cold was still
Right.
we had to
wanted to
make
be
that
nowhere
decision.
near.
Which I think I don't think I know handicapped me a little bit because we're just used to it. Like things that I don't see, he will, and vice versa. So, but it's still
Worked out.
I think it's still pretty good.
Yeah, no, you had a kick-ass festival run with it, right?
Yeah, it was getting into a few places. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe by the time this comes out or whatnot, we'll probably have it out to the public because we're gonna release it pretty soon. It's at the end of
You can technically watch it right now if you go to our Indiegogo page for our next short, which does have a link to a YouTube playlist that includes Magic Box.
Well, if you send, that will be a clickable link in the show notes. Because if you just send me the
I will
link
do
to your
that.
Happy to put it in the show notes.
Sweet.
And we can talk about that short now or
whenever.
later.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
I was just going to mention that Magic Box is one of those films. It's rarefied air to be at Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles, our sister festivals. And most of the time, someone's
I had
in
a script
one,
in that one
we say, yes.
in 2019.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did it win? I don't remember if it won or it was like top.
Like I don't know, Jeff did it win.
Either way.
But being the top, let's just say, the official selection scripts, it's actually what's the term? It's a lower ratio, our official selection. Like 1 in 20 scripts become official selections, whereas films are more around, I think, shorts are like 1 in 15 and features are like 1 in 20. Like it's like the numbers on a script are actually, what I'm trying to say is that bullshit thing that people say, being an official selection is like winning, like it is.
Yeah.
Like it's there's a lot of scripts come in.
Sweet. That makes me feel
you go.
good.
Yeah. But I was going to say Magic Box showed at the cute little neighborhood theater in Sherman Oaks.
It did, yeah.
And then, I got to admit, I shouldn't even say this, but I was really like, I know you had some good theatrical screenings, right? With Magic Box. If I hadn't known that from your Instagram, then we probably would have had it in Glendale for Film Invasion. Even though we have a rule, like once someone's in the theater in one festival,
They don't go in
then
the
it's online only in the next one.
Got it. Okay.
Now that COVID forced us to go hybrid. But like Magic Box was short enough, I was like, can I squeeze it in? Who's gonna know? But but then I knew that you'd already seen it like in Kick-Ass DCP, so I'm like, okay, I'm not doing them a huge favor. So
I mean, I still
you wouldn't have hated it.
I wouldn't have hated it, but
I was
it's
almost
okay.
you know
nice.
what? It's the next one.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. We'll just call it the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I say like the one great thing, not the one, but like one of the biggest takeaways that we've got from like your festival was meeting Ryan Kuna, who's now going to be our cinematographer on our next short film, Lone Wolf.
I literally just went up to him, obviously because we saw his short and dug it, but it said AFI on it, and I was like, and there's my in, and then I just walked over. It's like, I went to AFI too, and then we just chatted,
It was Moxie?
Yeah, it was
Moxie,
Yeah, Moxie, which actually is, that I think there were like 3 people got their masters out of that film.
Yeah.
That film about someone dies from a butt plug. And all those other things.
That's true.
I still just love that film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That film's
it's wacky.
absurdistly sexual and wonderful. And
Yeah, it's a wacky movie.
Yeah.
totally wacky. But super well shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went up to him afterwards, chatted a little bit, and then we didn't really, I don't know, we didn't hear from him for a while. He didn't hear from us.
Blah, blah, blah.
And then he reached
out to us.
Well, I remember, was it in December? When was the festival?
November.
Yeah, November. Because I was like,
around
you know what I'll
Thanksgiving,
do is we'll message Ryan when we get back from Christmas or whatever.
Yeah, no, you wait till January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then he ended up messaging us just to
us.
like get coffee, and we just started chatting, and just seeing what kind of movies he liked, and it all just seemed to vibe really well. Like our personalities vibed really well. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to send him this script, this Lone Wolf script. I'm like, let me know what you think about it, if you'd be interested. And he read it, dug it, and we chatted some more. And we did our due diligence to look at his reel and all that kind of stuff to make sure that Moxie wasn't like a one-off,
And he looked at our stuff to make sure that Magic Box wasn't a one-off.
Exactly. And yeah, it just...
Yeah, now we're like really good friends. We're always chatting, and we're in pre-production for the next short film. So thank you to the Sherman Oaks Film Festival, which I think sometimes people don't realize or take advantage of the fact that, like, sure, you're showing your film, but like you're meeting people, and we can admit we're the worst at networking.
Terrible.
But
terrible.
I mean, just going to a screening like that's.
But you talked to Ryan.
Talk to Ryan.
Well, I had the AFI thing. That was literally it.
I shouldn't say this, but people. There was the mixer last month.
Yeah.
No, was it this? No, wait, yeah, we're still in
Oh,
August.
where Matt and I just kind of sat at the bar and
we
didn't know who to talk
people
to.
like, those guys aren't talking to anyone. I'm like, well, I know, but I'm not going to like grab them and force them to talk to people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
that's why we are the worst at networking.
Yeah, I think with that one it was tough because I think there was like also another group of something there, and I was like, who? Like, I don't want to go up to somebody and they're like,
we'll be the only people. In fact, it's going to be here in the valley. Quiet place.
Where is it?
You know Kahuna Tiki 2? It's
Wait, is that
on Riverside? There's that Mikado Hotel that had a restaurant, and the restaurant Kahuna Tiki in NoHo opened Kahuna Tiki 2 there.
I've been to the one in NoHo.
So it's like this big restaurant nobody goes to, and they have this whole big bar that no one uses. I'm like, okay, let's make sure that everyone there is with us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'll make it
and we'll
easier.
still sit at the bar and talk to nobody. But
or not, but it's easier the festival, right? Because you've seen the work.
yeah, and I mean,
Go talk.
that's also where I met with Todd Greenlee, the director of All Eyes, like, because he saw our short. It was all in that one little packet, and he reached out to me. And so it was like, it was a tiny theater, but we got so much out of it. Just meeting people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps that you have the intimate vibe of the festival, but also just, now I'm just gonna, this is just me bragging, but we have high standards. So like all the films are good.
Yeah.
And I have been to festivals where they're not.
We went to a festival where it was like, I was like, what the hell is going on here? It was like, they literally just were like, oh, we're going to take all of every submission and just shove it into like one, whatever block we were in. I was like, the genres don't blend. Nothing makes
really
sense.
weird.
And it was like, what's happening?
And then you can't really meet people because there is that inclination, like, well, I don't want to talk to the person whose film sucked because that's an awful experience. To
Right.
Like, yeah. Oh, I liked it. Sure. I really like
Good
how
job.
brave you were to have your lead character be so poorly acted, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know,
You're right.
Or just like that one was weird because there was a lot of like really, really young filmmakers and like young kids who were in it, and I'm like, and they're watching this girl get, swords through a box and magic box.
It was kind of awkward.
And like where it was like, I'm like, this is a little much for like
These
this
people,
6-year-old kid who's in the audience. And I was like, but I mean, I didn't pick what block we went into, but I thought it was just really odd. But I mean, whether they're good or bad, I enjoy going to the film festival.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like the
stuff.
network, or not the networking, but when you like everything you see,
It's
I think
easier
it creates
to-
a vibe where everyone wants to talk to
Well,
each
it's
other.
talking points you have.
Also,
now,
too, like
you
that
know?
Q&A that you do really helps because a lot of them it's just like screen, all right, and then the lights go up, everybody leaves, or like they're like, we're going to do a Q&A, and they just sit everybody in the. We went to one where they sit everybody in the front and they just pass a mic along and ask like one question, everybody answers, and you're like, this isn't a Q&A.
One question, you get about 30 seconds to talk.
Yeah, and then they're like, all right, well, see you guys later, and you're like, yeah, there's something different about the Sherman Oaks Film Festival.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's other festivals. I'm sure there's others that care, but we care.
There's
And-
not. It's just you.
Just
you.
That's it.
Well, I appreciate that. But it's just, I'm like, when we moved theaters, when we moved from the Whitefire to the more expensive Look Cinemas, someone on the filmmakers board was like, he was actually sitting at this table we're at because they came over for a barbecue or something. He's like, and I told him about the movie. He's like, I don't know how to ask this, but are things going to change? Like, are you going to have to not have long Q&As anymore? And I'm like, look, we lose money at the theater anyway, so I don't care. We're still going to have, in a 2-hour block, we'll watch 40 minutes of films, talk about them for an hour, and then have 15 minutes to get the people in and out of the theater. Like, I'm just like, you should, if you're just going to watch films, stay home.
Yeah.
Like, if festival's about community and discussing them together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing to be said about going to like a theater in Glendale for the Sherman Oaks Film Festival.
Oh, motherfucker.
Has somebody? I'm sure somebody has said
no,
something.
I mean, but well, as Sherman Oaks residents, we can tell you
There are no
that
venues.
we don't have a state-of-the-art theater here anymore.
Right,
the Regal
right.
actually sucks balls.
Yeah.
I've actually never been to it.
Every time I take our 15-year-old there, like, you know, when like a big movie comes out, I'm like, oh, okay, fine, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, there's no darks. All the darks are gray. They're like light gray. Like it's. I'm like, we would have been better off watching at home. And plus, the seats aren't nice. Whereas Look Cinemas has.
Yeah.
It's only a 2-year-old theater, so it's. I finally learned that like we're on the 3rd generation of the DCP projectors, and Regal has 1st generation. That's why they suck. So like every generation of projectors gotten better, and there you're in like leather seats, and you can have food and drink brought to your seats. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I can
But I know.
Yeah, it's
funny. By the way, Tarzana moved to the Regal in Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
Tarzana Film
I think there was
Festival.
we did I think it was like Studio City Film Festival. It was in NoHo, you know. So
Yeah, they moved
it's like
there.
Yeah.
it's wherever you can get it, but
It's just-
I like to give people shit because it's more. It's
It
fun,
always.
and I'm from
I
New
always
York.
thought we couldn't leave the White Fire because we didn't have a better home in Sherman Oaks.
Yeah,
And then I finally just realized, fuck it, the filmmakers.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves a better
I
venue.
think too,
Yeah.
like you've built such a big community already that they're, you know, at least that community is not going to care. They're going to be like, great, awesome.
I mean,
bigger
I'm glad they
theater.
didn't listen to this, but when I told the White Fire we were leaving, I mean, that was really tough.
Yeah.
It was really tough for me after 7 years there to be like, so Film Invasion went really well in Glendale, and honestly, I got no choice.
Yeah,
Like, we just don't have a choice. Like, no one. I was actually the only person who was kind of devoted to the Sherman Oaks should be in Sherman Oaks thing. Everyone else was like, what are you, stupid? Marina Del Rey is not in Marina Del Rey, and
Well, yeah.
Right.
no one
Well,
is.
that's the hard part about like because Sherman Oaks is so small. Like there isn't a real theater like except for Regal, but like
Yeah, no, because
there really isn't one.
The one next to In and Out hasn't been open. They still have the one on Moore Park at Van Nuys.
it was
Pacific
the
Fork.
Pacific, yeah.
They still have Star Wars Rise of Skywalker or whatever.
Yeah.
It hasn't been touched for 5 years or whatever. No, since right before 2020.
COVID,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have a choice. Although allegedly Regal, they were going to close that one. This is not important for your podcast.
That's okay.
But now they're going to refurbish it. So maybe a year from now we can consider going there.
Yeah.
But I got to admit, like, so the festivals that kick us around, like, I won't name them, but, they like to poach from us and stuff that are at the Chinese, the TCL
I know exactly
Chinese.
which ones you're talking about.
And, and then I look at those screenings, like, on people's Instagrams, and I'm like, oh, they got those tiny little uncomfortable chairs, and they line everyone up in front of the screen for, like, the shotgun Q&A, and I'm like, you know what? We're better off in Glendale than Hollywood.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean TCL is just for the name. It's
Yeah.
really not that
I know you're not even at the Chinese.
well
you're
that
next to it.
that festival that
exactly.
we were talking about that was all just a mishmash of crap. That was at the Chinese.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Well, they have. I think they have a festival every weekend.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I always love AFI Fest is there, and I love AFI Fest there. But that's
Yeah.
mostly big films anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you went to AFI, you're not
I
gonna.
know. We haven't gotten anything into that.
No, they show
I know
Lanthimos films.
it's it's like a political thing. It's like Sundance was created for indies, and now it's like it's not for indies anymore. It's literally to showcase
which and
for
then
the
like
Oscars.
Slam Dance was made for the real indies because of Sundance, and that's not even like really, that's hard to get into too. So
Yeah, I haven't been there for ages. I used to be a huge. In fact, the reason why Film Invasion LA and Sherman Oaks got launched in a way was that there was nothing in LA that was slam dancey. Mm-hmm. And I guess Slam Dance once tried to slam dance LA, but they didn't stick with it. But I used to go up there every year for Sundance, and then then I would only like the films I saw at Slam Dance.
there you go.
So hey, anyway,
Anyway,
are you? We totally got you guys. By the way, you're both smiling more that we're not talking about you and your work. Is that a coincidence?
I don't like to talk about myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can. Well, we should plug Lone Wolf because that's like a big thing that's coming up.
So we just launched our Indiegogo on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. It's for a new short,
the 29th.
Yeah.
So I don't know when this is actually coming out.
Like 2 weeks from now, 2-3 weeks.
It's our Indiegogo for our new short film called Lone Wolf, which will be shot by Ryan Kuna, who we met at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival.
It's a concept came from Tim Simic, who is the actor that I mentioned that we've worked with multiple times. He came to us with a concept, and he was like, read it. If it vibes with you, let's talk. It obviously vibed with us. We sat down, kind of shot around ideas, and then it was like, all right, I'll write it, Matt will direct it, we'll all produce it, and
let's do it.
Yeah.
So, Rich churned out a really good script in a short amount of time.
Yeah. I don't know how I did it.
Yeah, and it's just
You've been working the
muscles.
Yeah, and it's like you read through it, and it's got everything you need. All the beats are perfect, characters, and I could go on and on about how great the script is. So it really lends itself to be
keep going.
It really lends itself to be like if we shoot it super poorly and directed super poorly, it's still going to be great because it's got a great story. And there you go.
You don't have to try that hard this time.
No, I don't.
No.
See, I don't like talking about myself, but I can talk about him. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool idea, and I mean, Matt and Ryan have been meeting up with each other the last couple of weeks, going over shots, like type of shots they want to do, like what the tone is, and like
the
look. I mean, they're saying all these phrases that I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. Yeah. But they're smart motherfuckers. Pardon my French.
I encourage cursing.
All right.
I've cursed a couple times.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. But yeah, those two know what they're doing with the camera and telling and like taking the script and like enhancing it. Like even just was it yesterday? No, yes, I don't know. Yeah. Even just yesterday, Matt was telling me, he's like, "Oh, there's this one part in the script that we think could be better by doing X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, son of a bitch, he's right. And like I'm definitely not like one of those writers who is like, well, I came up with the characters and the story, so like shut up and just direct it. Like, I will listen to anybody that has an idea, whether good or bad. Something might spark from it. And for instance, this idea is just, it's better than what I put in the script. So I'm like, let's go for it.
Well, and you've been through this enough times.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That what script doesn't change after the first table read? Like, first time you hear it read out loud, you're like, I just heard some things I want to change, right? So,
right. And it's towards like enhancing the story or lending itself to the story and characters anyway. So,
well, yeah, even like a good example of this is we met with the actress that's going to star in it, Allie Trasher, and she's great. We saw her in one of Tim's films that he was in. And we were just talking to her just to get a vibe and everything. And she knew like all this stuff about the character that I was like, this is the actress I was waiting for, like just like bringing the layers that I like, I implemented these layers and then she's putting even more layers and peeling them back. And then like she asked a question about a certain character that then made me go, all right, I need to rewrite this and change this character to do X, Y, and Z. And it made the script even better. And so like that's like the type of collaboration that gets you excited for filmmaking. It's just, I created a character and we've been on some of our sets where somebody's like, okay, they come in, they say the lines, they do a good job or whatever, but like she might as well have had like a Bible written out for this character. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's like when they ask the right questions, or they're just like when they know the character better than you, which some people have an ego about and can't handle. I'm like, I want you to know it better than me. I want my job to be easier. Mm-hmm. Like, I want you to suggest things and we collaborate, and then we can just be like, wow, I guess we just have to say action because you got it, and then tweaks here and there. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what she brings to it. So, do you have a good log line for Lone Wolf? I'm asking the writer. Right? I'm terrible when somebody goes like, "What's your elevator pitch?" and I'm like,
I probably have a good log line written out, and then I'll just butcher the crap out of it right now. But like, it's about a female hired gun who's an insomniac, and this is all stemming from some past trauma that you will find out as this short goes on. She discovers that her most recent target that she took out is still alive, and then she starts to question her sanity on whether she actually went through with killing him, or if she's seeing things and her insomnia is just causing her to unravel from the inside. And that's like the basis of it. It's very character driven while also having some like really cool twists and turns. But I wanted it to be very much based off of this character and their trauma.
Yeah, it's the most interesting thing about it. Like there's a twist. There is like some really crazy things that like happen.
She's a hit woman,
but like
so it's like sweet. Sign me up.
I feel like without that character, without like some of the really deep scenes that's just sitting with her, and then it's not that interesting. It's just a ploy to get people in. I don't know.
As a fan of cinema, I really dig stuff that with an unreliable narrator or where the line between reality and fantasy is blurred, and it sounds like that's where you're going.
Yeah, it's
which,
kind of
we like to be very
so rewarding.
Yeah, we like to be very unreliable towards the audience.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want. Like it's like I want the audience to be like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Oh wait, no, okay, wait, no. Now I want just kind of like I never want them to be ahead of the story, and I don't think I don't think they're going to figure what's going on. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Very cool. I am married to someone who always figures shit out. And
yeah.
I love it when she's
wrong.
Because she's 97% she nailed. And then I look at her and go, "How did you know that twist was coming?"
Yeah.
And by the way, you fucked it up for me by predicting it.
Right.
Yeah. But when she can't figure out where it's going, I'm like, wow. So this screenwriter, they have you. They beat you. Like
they beat the top tier of the top.
They beat for sure. Because you would think I would be good at it, but no, I just kind of like lend myself. I dive in. I'm like I'm in their world. They can take me where they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Yeah. I think film school kind of ruined me for like when I watched films because
the critical eye.
Well, especially like if I'm watching it at home, like with my girlfriend or something, and I'm like trying not to say things that I'm like, oh, I bet this is gonna happen.
So you don't want to be an annoying partner,
right?
Yeah.
But I also like to like when we watch movies, I like to Matt and I'm like pointing as if people can see. like we'll be like, oh, that was like such an interesting choice, or like, you know, like, oh, what a brilliant way to do that, or well, oh my god, why the fuck did they do that? You know, so stupid.
Or
you
like,
know,
that was so simple. That's the one
Yeah.
like that gets you. Is like everybody really, especially like with this new short, we're trying to think of like all these ways to make things like if we're gonna go all in, and then like then we watched something and it was super simple but just as effective. I'm like, let's pull back. I think it's simple, and that's what makes it effective. And like so, stuff like that we talk about, like
yeah.
going back. And
I think
forth.
simplicity is like your best friend in cinema.
I think so too.
I think a lot of people are like, well, we're gonna make Inception and just blow people's minds, and it's just complicated. Where you're just like, now you've lost the common like audience member, you know?
Yeah, no, I would say good luck to anyone who wants to. I mean, Nolan can't recreate that either.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
no one keeps trying to top himself, and
Yeah,
sometimes
he
you're like, dude,
yeah.
sometimes
It's
just go
like,
back to the simplicity.
just give us another historical film. Yeah,
mean,
just
Oppenheimer,
Give up the
there
brain
you go.
fucks.
Yeah, give me like another Memento or something. You know?
Just something
like,
super
like
original.
where you were
Prestige.
indie. Yeah.
Another good one. A
Yeah.
lot of good ones. Well, you're already discussing films, so maybe we should wrap this up so we can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
to your 4 questions. That'll be
Perfect.
the next one.
Yeah.
But website, social media, should we just make those clickable links, or you want to name them?
Let's do both.
Do both.
Okay, so like social media, we have VTD Productions, which is Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
My Instagram handle is Van Tine Design. Matt's Instagram handle is Matt Van Tine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
And-
pretty much just have him on Instagram, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I have my own website, which is maybe by the time this is out, it will turn into vtdproductions.com. But for now, it's mattvantine.com. We're just we're kind of like repackaging ourselves, I guess.
and the Indiegogo page, obviously, we'll do a link because it's a little bit long, but it's like igg.me/at/Lone Wolf Short.
Yeah, but if someone typed Lone Wolf into like search on Indiegogo, it'd come up, right?
It should.
Maybe, I mean, it might be pretty common.
could be
I don't
another-
know.
It could be a
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So, yeah.
There's also a Lone Wolf Instagram. Derp. It's at Lone Wolf _
short film.
Wait, shit.
It's-
Let me look it up before I screw it up.
You're almost tricking me into. I never want to be negative, but a super unique title doesn't hurt. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Lone
No, it's
Wolf
true.
-- short film.
Yeah, it's Lone Wolf _
You
short
know,
film.
We'll just have all those clickable links because it's like to a point. I'm sure people have stopped listening. They're like,
Yeah, at this
that's a lot of websites.
I have tried to type them, but yeah,
Yeah,
you can,
I'll
you
send
can
it
email
to you,
me
yeah.
a list.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that being said, I will get us out of here with the closing spiel. Thank you both. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Rich. Thank you,
Thank
Matt.
you.
I always
Appreciate
always fun to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
And thank you for doing the Discovery Indie Film podcast. If anyone is interested in learning more about this podcast or the TV series that was born out of it, just go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. And that TV series I meant is on Amazon Prime Video. So if you just go to Amazon Prime Video, hopefully on a nice big TV, don't watch movies on your phone.
Oh yeah, please don't.
It's heartbreaking, right?
Yeah,
But
that's why Quibi.
there might be a 15-year-old who lives under this roof who will sit on that couch over there watching Netflix on her phone in front of a 65-inch TV.
Right.
Oh, that
'Cause
hurts
why
my
not?
soul.
Doesn't it? Oh. And I say that all the time on this podcast because thank God she'll never listen to it. But anyhow, so yeah, look for Discover Indie Film on Amazon Prime Video. The Van Tines were so nice to say nice things about Sherman Oaks Film Festival. We hold it every November. In fact, this year, 2023, it's November 29th and goes into December. It's the first year we're going to be after Thanksgiving. But, Thanksgiving is a big movie weekend, so look had to move us to after. So anyway,
Yeah.
But we'll be the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in Glendale, as it's called. And ShermanOaksFF.com is the website. At ShermanOaksFF is the social media handle on everything. And the sister festival we talked about, Film Invasion Los Angeles, that's filminvasionla.com, and it's at Film Invasion LA on social media. We hold that one every June. In fact, I just got the email today from Look Cinemas. We picked our dates.
Nice.
Shoot, what is it? June something to 19th. I think it's the 19th. But anyway, that'll be in the beautiful new theater in June. And the last thing I should mention is, if you love indie cinema, just go to watchtvhigh.com or on any smart TV platform except Samsung's, but on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Android mobile, iPhone. If you search for TVHI, TV High, it's a streaming service that I don't know if you guys know about it. Maybe you do, but I started this damn thing, and it's all indie stuff that is really high quality, great to watch, but it's called TV High because it's even better to watch with cannabis.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
And that's why it's Watch TV High.
Sweet.
Because sometimes I enjoy cannabis, and I can't
Sometimes
find
I
shit
do
I want to
too.
watch.
Yeah.
It's fully legal where we live.
That's true.
That's TV High. So, thank you both again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Really
It was,
appreciate it.
And thank you,
was a good
everyone, for listening.